cover a wide range of topics today. Really what we're going to try to do is I'm going to try to get an overall perspective of what we try to do, and then we're going to break it down position specific, and I'll try to finish up with a little bit of mindset of what we try to infuse in our players going forward, day-to-day mentality, stuff like that. We feel like we could have done this a bunch of different ways. Obviously we could have talked game strategy, we could have talked weight room stuff, we could have done a lot of things, but we decided to hit the development side of it. Every program feels like they have an advantage. Every program feels like they try to do something that closes the gap with their competition or give an advantage. And we feel like at the core of what we try to do is develop every single player. So we felt like everything we did tonight and spoke with you guys needed to center on development, which is why it's written the way it is. You can see the organization, infield play once I'm done, outfield play, pitching breakdown, base running, hitting, and then mindset. We'll answer any questions at the end. We have about 90 minutes of what we think we have to go, so please feel free to come and go as you guys wish. There's the order of what we're doing. With us running a little behind, we were thinking about maybe taking some breaks, but we won't. We're just going to keep this thing rolling and get you guys going. I know we need to finish at least by 10 o'clock for your guys' reception. All right, Ricky, let's go. Okay, we want to start with our overall mindset. Before we ever write a practice schedule, before we ever decide field allocation, we want to know exactly what we're trying to accomplish. The first point we have up here is our #1 priority going into last year, and this is 970. Where did that number come from? That's our defensive fielding percentage. It's not a number we pulled out of thin air. Everybody wants to strive. Everybody wants to improve. For us, what our focus was becoming a mid-major program who was able and capable of getting an at-large bid at the end of the year. Whether that's far-fetched, whether it's not, that was our mindset, that was our expectation. So I went back over the last 2 years and I researched every single person in a non-power conference who received an at-large bid. Wofford has never been an at-large team. The only time we've ever been to the regionals was in '07. We ran the conference tournament and that was our way we got in. But we want to see what it takes to be an at-large team. So I looked at, there were 14 of them over the past 2 years. Some teams had an ERA as high as 4.40. Some teams had a batting average as low as 249. As you can imagine, it was a counterbalance. The team that pitched it the highest was the team who also hit it the highest. But as I dug through, there was a lot of variables. There was one consistent. Every single one of those teams, without fault, played defense at 970 or higher. Whether they fielded 970, 975, pitched at 440, hit it at 250, it didn't matter. That was the one consistent. Stole 20 bases, stole 150 bases, didn't matter. That was the one consistent. So I sat our staff down and I said, we're refocusing what we're doing. We're not going to shortchange Team D. We're not going to shortchange individual defense. We're going to max those areas out because that's the one consistent it takes. So that's going to be our mindset. So that really restructured everything. So we had that going into the semester and then into the week. We used to maybe do team defense, say once every other week. Nope, we're doing it every single day. We're doing it every single day we practice, whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, or we only practice once that week. That was our mindset going in. Now, break it down by hour, break it down by minute, and most importantly, I think, which is overlooked, is field allocation. If you really want to tell your pitchers to control the running game, and you really feel like that's important, you need to show them that's important by not only how much time you're spending on it, but where are they doing it? You can't tell a 19-year-old kid with a 1300 SAT, hey, you having a good pick, and you having a good time at the plate is really important. Go down to the left field corner and work on it for 30 minutes. Field allocation is huge. Where they're doing something is very important to them. They're smart, they're thinkers. Where it continues, it's my job as our head coach, I have to influence the influencer. It's not my job to hit every single person and convince every single person. But I've got to convince Jason, got to convince JJ, got to convince JT, this is what we're doing. We've got to prove it. Our average SAT score in our locker room, two-part, is over a 1300. They don't take you at your word. We're coaching hyper-analytical thinkers. And what's crazy to me is a lot of us coaches, son, stop thinking, just play. Don't think, just play. That's almost impossible for them to do. So you've got to prove it. You've got to prove it to them why it's important, with statistics I just shared with you. Once we set the framework, I need to give those guys freedom. I don't need to dictate their language. I don't need to dictate exactly what they do. Give those guys freedom outside of what they want to do and how they want to communicate it with the players. I have to give them that freedom. Keep daily dialogue. Every single day when the four of us get into the office, whatever time it is, hey, everybody in the office, let's talk it, let's see what we got today. Could be recruiting, could be practice, could be anything. Could be family, doesn't matter. And then the most important thing I feel like we do as a staff is we eat lunch together every single day. We go on campus, go off campus, but the four of us, every day we go eat lunch together, and it's very informal, but I feel like it's crucial for our communication. Where it's implemented, stay on task. We've got a tally sheet on the whiteboard in my office, butt defense first and third, and every time we hit it, we just notch it. And now all of a sudden you look up, going through team practice, you're getting ready to start the season, we got 3 weeks starting today. Right up there, butt defense. I have a number in my head that I want to hit. We got to cover butt defense this number of times. And every time we do it, we just notch it. We keep on track with it. Get it to the ground floor. The 35th guy's got to buy in that a 970 field percentage is imperative to our success. But like I said, I can't do it. So our cabinet, it's not captains, it's not seniors, it's an elected group right now. We have 7 guys, at least 1 from every single class. I meet with those guys once a week and continue to push it on. Last thing I've got, listen to what's being said when they're not talking to you. And I'm not talking about eavesdropping about what they do at night. I'm not talking about trying to get them in trouble. I'm talking about I sit in the dugout and I just listen to what they talk about in their verbiage. Because the way I think, if I hear it, if they're comfortable enough to say it in front of me, it's been said 100 times without me around. Whether they like something, whether they dislike something, whether they believe in it, whether they like a certain player, dislike a certain player. It's like you see people on reality shows. Yeah, the cameras kind of bothered me at first, but after a while you just forgot they were there. But when you say something so many times, you're so comfortable with it, you'll say it in front of your head coach. It doesn't matter. Okay? We're going to go into infield play right here. Coach Edwards is going to hit that, and we'll just keep it rolling.
All right. We'll get right into it. Nothing earth-shattering going to go on out of my mouth today, but just little things that we emphasize each and every single day on the field. The big 4 things that we talk about, and it's a big checklist for us, that what we go through is athletic position. Pretty self-explanatory. When we're fielding a ground ball, we want our knees bent, back flat, glove out in front. Pretty normal things. Low hips. Low hips and quiet glove are the 2 things that we feel are the biggest adjustments from the high school game to the college game. And the big thing, and when you come here and you're going to start looking at our videos, and you can start seeing our middle infielders, they're not very big. I think the tallest one we have is 6 foot. He looks about 6'6" compared to the 5'8" guys. So when you're coming here, you're going to see that the hips are a huge issue. You have the small kids always thinking, oh, he's small, he plays low to the ground. Check his hip height. Is he playing in a high butt area, or is he low to the ground? Because we want that guy playing low to the ground. So a lot of the drills that you'll see here are low hip drills to work that position and get comfortable with that bend. Quiet glove. We don't want that lacrosse player, and we don't want the guy roll over minutes here. We just want a nice turn with the left hand of a doorknob. So we just work on everything we do, and there's times in this video you'll see somebody roll their glove. We have to correct them every single time it happens. Anytime you see a rollover or a little flop here, you got to correct it because we want a quiet glove at all times. And the last thing, pretty self-explanatory, we want to work everything out in front of your body. So, first thing we do every time, glove drills. Start going right at you, you go to forehand, you go to backhand, and then you switch foot backhand. Here's our 2 middle infielders working on it. All we're doing here is the checklist of the 4 things you just saw on the previous slide. Are they doing these consistently? Are they staying low with their hips? Do they have a quiet glove? Are they working out in front? All those things we talk about every time. The big thing on a backhand that is a big coaching point is when we're working that backhand, you want to be extremely low to the ground with your body, and you want your face just above your glove. And the thing we say all the time, especially when their feet are planted, we want those feet in the ground, and you want to give a little sway towards your target. And the expression we use all the time is, you should feel it more than we see it. You should feel it in your body and your hips going to the target more than we physically see you actually shifting your hips. So that's a big expression we keep using over and over again. All right. First thing we do off of our short hops is we'll get a coach and they're going to just feed us short hops with shuffles. This drill, as you see, we set it up about 2 strides in front of the infield grass. So now you're doing a short hop, same thing. couple at you, couple glove side, couple back in. And the big thing we do here, stay low, quiet glove, all those checkpoints we talk about. And then the next thing is, we catch it first, and then the next thing we work our feet. And there's a reason we go 2 strides behind the grass, so they have a point to go to. Not just 2 shuffles, you go until you hit the grass. That's working that direction of first base, making sure we're staying low in our hips, and everything's working together. So that's why we have those feet 2 strides away, so they're working towards that target. Next thing, now we're starting mixing the throw. First thing we always say is balls first. We always catch the ball first, and then we'll go off of that. So this one, you're catching the ball, you're moving your feet, and then you're throwing the target. For this drill, never go to first base because they're not getting enough momentum with it, so we'll cut our manager, another coach, halfway between where they're catching it and first base. Just working nice little flips there. You see they're not really heating it up too much, but you're just working nice shuffles, getting that direction. Again, focusing on that low hips and that quiet glove. Next thing we talk about, and I think this is a big thing going forward, attacking the baseball. We get a lot of guys, when we come in, attack the baseball. They think that's just to charge the baseball. Charge the baseball, oh, he wants me to charge it, that's what it means, attacking. Attacking and charging are not the same thing for us. When you're in that athletic position to start off with, attacking is you're just getting a good direction going towards the ball. So that could be, it's a 1-step attack, and then we split our feet. It could be a 15-step attack, a slow roller, and go from there. They're different. Every time, they're a little bit different, but we just want that direction going to the ball, and then we can make our decision off of that. And there'll be a couple drills we show in here that it helps you coach the attacking position. And the last thing is direct to the ball. We don't want to waste any time getting around the ball. We feel like we're athletic enough to get to the ball, make a play, catch it first, and then throw it over there. The way we think about it is, if you take 3 steps to get around the ball, catch it off your left eye, on your left side, that's 3 steps now, the runner's closer to first base, and we don't have time for a bobble or an error. If you're more direct, you have a better chance of something happening wrong and still getting a successful play out of it. So that's where we're more direct with our angles. And we'll show you a drill right here. We call attacking short hops with a pause. We start off with 2 cones. I don't know if you can see them. There's 2 cones they start from, and all they do is take 2 attacking steps to a ball coming right at them, and then they break down. When they break down, I'm waiting to see a pause. I want to see them in an athletic position, all those 4 checklists that we talked about, I want to see it, and then I will feed them the ball. When I feed them the ball, they'll go through the same thing, good shuffle towards the target with a good throw. But we're looking for aggressive first 2 steps, being under control, having their body under them, because the big thing they do is they think they need to get as far as they can on that first step. That's fine if you can be in control the whole time. If you're not in control, it's pointless. So you want to work those 2 things. So when we're doing this drill, it's a lot easier to be in control because they are breaking down, pausing, catching the ball, and then flipping it. The next one, there's no pause. So when those guys are about to step in, I'm feeding the ball and they have to make a play. So if they thought they had to be in control on the last one, they have to even be more in control on this one. So they're sitting there, I'm leading them, they're making a play, ball first, nice little toss. Again, we're not throwing it completely across the infield, but you're almost trying to lead them and make sure they're in control of their body the whole time. And this is helping us attack the ball in that situation because their first step is very aggressive but very in control. Next thing with this circuit that we're going to do, now you can actually attack a ball with a full-on slow roller. So we have something we call the slow roller series, and all it is you start three slow rollers at them, 3 slow rollers to the right, 3 slow rollers to the left, and then 1 bare hand. So we'll do this pretty much every day. And as you see, this is the first time we've actually hit the ball off the fungo, and this is probably the only time in the drill that we're actually going to hit the ball off the fungo. And this is just all our routine stuff that we're trying to work on. Next one, we worked on receiving the ball with our glove, working on short hops, slow rollers, everything off of that. And now we're going to go ball and glove drills. So 10 throw drills. The great thing about this drill is you can tell how the person is and you can keep switching off how their arm feels that day. The example you see here, and we call it regular, slow roller, 2 action, 2 forehand, 2 backhand planted, 2 switch foot, 1 slow roller again. That's our regular. Days that I feel like our arms are hanging, we do everything to second. Some days we're going shorter distance. You can do great plays, feeds to second, backhands, anything you want off of this, and you can just work on that throwing part and take out the catching. So we do this all the time. And the next one is just like I said, the second base feeds. We call this the clock drill. Each guy, they're going through the full thing of the clock drill, but all it is we're going to start, and I took this from outfield. You start going to the right in a double play depth. So we do everything 10 feet away from the bag. Take 10 steps, set 2 cones. So the first one, we're taking 2 steps here, and then you're slowly working your way around the clock. The first time we did it, we wanted to see where our guys can still make a nice little toss from, and they found out they could only make tosses even with them or closer to the bag. Some guys probably have a little more range with it, but that's what we originally started with, and now we mix it in about once a week, just to find out where they can get comfortable with. And then the last one, on the 10th one, they just take it themselves and they have to call off the coach or the manager sitting on the base. So, explaining all this defense, we hit a fungo one time, but these are the routines that you have to continue to coach and continue to see every single time with your hips, quiet glove, athletic position, and working out in front. Everything we do, those are the 4 points that we are hitting. So Coach McGuire is now going to come up and do outfield drills and routines.
All right, getting right into it as well. So outfield drills. We basically break this down, and it's kind of the same thing with infield play. We don't use a fungo that much as well. So our lead-up drills, what we do, it's a little different as far as our ground ball and fly ball approaches. Our ground ball and fly ball approaches, anything, our rule of thumb is anything waist below, we use our glove side leg back, and anything waist above, our glove side leg is in front. Now most people teach this way. Our philosophy is to get the ball out as quickly as possible, to eliminate a crow hop, because a crow hop to me is just a wasted movement. A lot of guys, when they do a crow hop, they just jump straight in the air, and their momentum is not really gaining any ground. So what we use is called a pro step, and I'll get into that a little later. Actually, I'll get into it right now. The pro step, now the footwork itself is the same for both waist below and waist above. It's a basic movement. I kind of simulate it to how a pitcher would throw off of a rubber. So instead of doing a crow hop and running and taking extra steps, because as an outfielder, the more steps that we take, a base runner is gaining ground on us, so we don't want that. So the pro step is basically you drive your lead leg forward and you kick your back leg behind, simulating throwing off of a rubber. Okay, squaring the shoulders. So we just kind of eliminate that crow hop, we eliminate the extra steps, and we keep it simple. Now we have progressions with that. So progression number 1 is a ground ball and fly ball. This progression, we just do everything ball and glove. The reason for that is we just want to keep it simple. We want to exaggerate everything. We want them to get their footwork down. We want them to get a comfortable feeling of where they should be feeling a ground ball, where they should be feeling a fly ball. One of the key points to this is to keep your thumbs or your fingers pointing at the direction where you want to be on the ground ball. On the fly ball, I tell our guys we want to see the top of the baseball and not the bottom of the baseball. So I want to work to get behind the baseball. I want to be able to see that ball so I can come through the ball. Next progression, we work ground balls, choppers, line drives, and fly balls just thrown at them softly, something that they can handle. The reason for this, just to get a ball live, get different looks on the ground, different looks on the fly, and then we just progress into that. The next progression number 3, our ball's out of our lanes. So our cut system is pretty simplistic. We define anything out of our lane, okay, is a foot, a step out of our lane, or a step to our left or a step to our right would be out of our lane. So to eliminate an aired throw, we basically say anything to our left or to our right that we have to take an extra step on, we are hitting our cutoff man immediately. So now we're just working on balls out of our lanes, fly balls, line drives, ground balls, and choppers as well. And we're working to just get through the baseball, get to a good angle, and get that baseball back into where we need to go. We'll either have a dry throw here or a live throw, depending on how their arms feel that day. Okay, just to get into some other drills. My drill names are not very over the top. They're pretty basic. So I have a 4-cone drill. This cone drill right here kind of introduces our drop step. So we went from working ground balls and fly balls. Now we're working ground balls and fly balls, working them in, and basically getting through the baseball with a drop step now introduced. So you'll see he'll get a ground ball, he'll take his drop step, I'll lob him the fly ball so he can get around it and through it, and he'll fake the throw, or he'll make the throw, depending on the day. Okay, our drop steps. So our drop steps are pretty simple. We exaggerate everything that we do in practice, like I said. I want them exploding open as much as they can with an exaggerated drop step, because we feel like if you exaggerate the drop step in practice, in the game it'll just become natural and our hips are much more fluid. You'll also notice they take 2 steps forward. Now these guys are college baseball players and you guys have high school baseball players, and I read a study that in a 3-hour time span that a game occurs, there's only about 10 minutes of actual game play. So I don't expect these guys to be locked in every single play of every inning, as far as all 3 hours are concerned. I need them locked in for those 10 minutes. So this is them basically stepping into their zone. We came up with a strategy to step into their zone, their mind zone of I'm going to lock in for these next 3 to 4 seconds, and I'm ready to go. So here they are, they're taking their 1-2 steps, their exaggerated drop steps, and I have this cone set up here because I don't want them banana in the route. I want direct routes and direct angles to the baseball. All right, drop steps with head snaps. Now we're not all perfect. We don't all take the best angles, and weather also plays factors on how the baseball is in the air. So our head snaps is an O-crack play or just a bad angle. So these guys will take their head snaps or their drop steps and they'll head snap to the opposite side. So I'll throw the ball on their opposite shoulder. The key that I tell these guys are we have to take our chin from chin from one shoulder to the next. Okay? I don't need to open my hips up. I don't need to fling my body around. That's all wasted movement, and it's unathletic. So I'm trying to get these guys to stay athletic with a simple head snap, keep their hips going in that direction. The wheel drill. Cone system that's shaped in a wheel. You can do this in many different ways. Basically what we have here is balls that are being thrown at them at all different angles and all different flights. So the first couple cones that we have in front will be short balls that they have basically like a shoestring catch or a line drive, and then we'll progress into fly balls. The key for this one is as it gets to this middle cone right here, they start to get really fatigued. You don't have to throw them really far, but they get really fatigued if they're doing their drop steps and they're going on a sprint right away. So the key is to keep a good drop step, keep the fundamentals, and keep the focus on each ball. Okay, the D drill. Now this is just a throwing progression. The video is kind of hard to see. So we start from each cone, and it's basically you just throw from each cone at a progression. So the farthest one will be simulating a fly ball. The second cone will be simulating a ground ball. Then they'll take a drop step into 2 angles to their left and then 2 angles to their right, which will simulate a ball to the gap, a ball sitting on at the base of the wall, or a ball simulating the ball sitting in the gap. So they basically just have to progress their throws from each angle. The key here is to open the hips, locate their target, and get the ball in as quickly as accurate as they can. Okay, the wire reaction drill kind of just stole this from like a football movement. Kind of just simulates a bad read or a misjudged ball. So what they're doing is they're just going to sprint towards me. Just pointing to a different direction, and they break their steps down, open their hips, get the drop step. Basically, this is just an athletic movement that I'm just trying to have these guys stay in that type of pattern. Last one, reaction and competition drills. So the first couple ones you'll see, these guys are dropping balls. They're not even close to catching them. It's kind of funny how they progress the more competitive it gets. So the first couple three, I said, we're just going to do this. Then the second three, we put something on the line, and their competition, their competitiveness just oozes out. So then we have a Willie Mays drill, like you see here, a 6-point drill. So basically, they just stand in front of me. We have 6 points around them, and it's just we just flip the ball over their shoulder, in front of them, behind them, and that's just basically to work on reaction and their drop steps with their hips. That's all I have.
Coach, you tend to see a lot of younger kids when you take the crow hop out. Instead of here, their arm tends to come back to the windmill effect.
Right.
What do y'all influence the ball to stay here, or does it all go back further?
I like to tell these guys when they receive that ball, I want them right here. So when they're cocked and ready to go, it's just a simple movement. So we'll actually do just a breakdown of that, just because we had a guy that was here and he would just wind it back. So I wanted him here and right here. So it was. It's a basic movement, but I try to eliminate all of that movement. Just keep it right here and then anchor it and go. Does that answer it? Yes. Right.
All right, we'll keep things moving. I'll move right to pitching. To me, there's a lot of different facets of pitching. And I can cover a lot of different things up here. Obviously, I've got a very short amount of time, so I'm going to try to hit as many topics as I can hit. I'm going to start off with some managing your pitching staff kind of stuff. To me, if I was a high school coach, this would be very, very important to me how I manage those guys. So we'll start off with a little weekly schedule. I promise you this is the only slide that's got a bunch of words all over it. I promise you all of them don't look like this. I just don't go any other way and put it up here, okay? To me, as you look through this, obviously just having a game plan for those 7 days is really, really big. If you've got some type of game plan, some type of structure for how you're going to get them from the first game they throw to the second game, I feel like they're going to buy in, they're going to follow that, and it doesn't even have to be the best plan. It just has to be a plan. It has to be, hey, this is how we get you from the start to the bullpen to the game. This is how we get you from the start to playing shortstop next game to back on the mound. As long as you've got a game plan and they know what it is, then they're going to buy in a lot better at what's going on. So obviously you can kind of see this. I'll just hit some of the highlights. Day 1's when they start, day 2 up the recovery throw. To me, that's very, very simple. I'm trying to get my arm moving. I'm trying to get some blood flow through it. The way your arm's going to recover is the blood flow is going to take nutrients and oxygen to the muscles that are damaged, and it's going to help heal them. So moving your arm around the next day is going to be huge, whether it's throwing light, whether it's going through dry drills, whether it's going through some mobility and stretching stuff. All of that stuff is going to help with the recovery to get that young man back on the field to play for you as a position player, or to get him in his bullpen, or to get him in the next start. Day 3 is going to be some pitcher-specific drills. Okay, you'll see some of those in a minute. I've got hundreds of different drills. I picked, I think, 4 of them. I'll literally show you video of guys doing them, and I'll explain why I would do those drills and which guys I would do those with. But the pitcher-specific drill work, it's simple. If you got a kid who needs to play the field that day, he can do that to get loose to go out and play the field. Okay, he doesn't have to split that up. Okay, a lot of times I feel like a lot of guys are like, oh, he's got to get loose to play shortstop, and he got to get his pitching stuff in later. No, you can combine those two. He can get loose while he's doing that. Day 4 is going to be the bullpen work. to me, day 3 and day 6 are going to be the days where I'm getting my physical work in with those pitchers, okay? What I mean by that is I'm physically trying to help them with an arm action, a mechanical deficiency, whatever it may be. Day 4 of the bullpen, I'm here. I'm mental. I'm going to try to dial in to what that kid needs mentally to help him take that next step. So to me, I don't use the bullpen for a whole bunch of mechanical stuff. I try not to overcoach the bullpen. I try, if I'm going to overcoach, I'm going to do it right here. I'm going to do it right here, on the pitcher-specific side during their drill, because that's when they're trying to make those mechanical changes to get in better position. Recovery throws, same as day 2. 6th, same as day 3. And obviously on day 7, right before they're going to start again, just some type of light throwing. I mean, I have guys who throw back to 90 to 100 feet. I have guys that like to throw back to 150 to 180 feet. I got guys that like to go back to 60. To me, that's very pitcher-specific. And to me, I think that's the way you should kind of treat that. And we'll get into some of this other stuff with the posture work, mobility work, conditioning stuff as well a little bit later in the slides. Or you can grab me afterwards. I'll slide over this way and you can ask me questions about it as well. This is just kind of how I lay it out. I'm a very organized guy, at least I like to think I am. Organized chaos, at least, maybe. But this is every one of our pictures right here, and this is everything they're doing for literally this week that just happened. Okay, it's still happening. There's the hitter squad over there on the side. So I do that every week. I post it up on Monday so they know exactly what's going on for every day. Now this changes every single day. Okay, so if one of my pitchers shows up and they're more sore than I expected them to be, they got to be honest. They got to let me know. That dictates what I do with them. How do you feel? How does your arm feel? Okay, it feels like this. Okay, let's back this up. Let's do this day. Their pain and soreness level is going to dictate almost everything that I do. And that trust level's got to be there. Now, I'm not naive enough to think this is the best way to do it. It's just the best way I've found. So if I'm you guys, I'm getting me a calendar out, I'm getting me an Excel spreadsheet, I'm getting my phone out, I'm getting something to help me keep this organized. That's a lot of stuff on one page. Somehow to keep that organized will help you out a lot. All right, everybody I feel like wants to get up and talk mechanics. I'm going to talk mechanics in a different aspect, okay? I'm going to talk mechanics as far as powerful positions, and I'm going to talk mechanics as far as keeping your pitchers healthy and safe, okay? The biggest part of my job is not developing a fastball, it's not developing a breaking ball, it's keeping them healthy. Because if they're not healthy, I can't develop them. I can't do it. Name me a kid who had a surgery who his mind was open to learning about pitching while he's going through the rehab. I can't do it. It physically doesn't happen. So to me, keeping them healthy is huge. Okay, the first thing I'll talk about is early hip tilt towards the plate. You can see both these guys obviously have different deliveries, but they're both getting their hips initiated towards the plate very, very early in their delivery. Okay, to me, it's going to help with their shin angle, it's going to help with the weight of their foot and where it goes, it's going to help everything push towards here. The more I can get my hips engaged, the less work this has to do. It's just along for the ride to help me produce the velocity or to produce the off-speed pitch. This right here is crucial. We work on that a ton. It seems very, very simple, but I'm telling you, the better hip drive they've got, the more they can push with the instep of their foot, the more they can drive this back knee inside that back foot, the more they're going to create that little bit of a wedge here, and they're going to create a lot of power as they push forward, okay? All right, pyramid to the instep of the heel, okay? So the way I talk about pitchers driving towards the plate is I talk about imagining that there's an upside down pyramid on the bottom of your foot, and you're literally trying to drive it underneath the rubber. Okay, I actually have pitchers who get up on the rubber. So like if I was there, I'll get up on the rubber like that to help create that angle. Okay, so I get part of my foot up on the rubber. So if this glove is the rubber, I'll legitimately put my foot up on it like that. Okay, and it'll help people who can't do that and get more energy and push. Okay, so to get that push is huge to me. Okay, so I'm trying to push that pyramid under, almost like a skier with his stick. He's trying to push the ground back, swimmer through the water. I'm trying to push that back to go forward, okay? Once I've done that, you can see he's got all the way to his instep right there. I've got that pyramid under to get the pyramid on the top. You can see it right there, middle legs. They're going to drive everything forward, okay? So that position to me is a very, very powerful position. And the next thing I'll talk about, and we'll see it on the next slide more so than here, is you can see both these guys are going to land on their heel. Okay, I don't know the exact percentage of big leaguers that land on their heel. I'm going to say it's 75 to 80%. It's huge. I started paying attention to it about 5 or 6 years ago, and it blew my mind. Because all I heard my whole life was kind of trying to land on your toe or land flat-footed. And I started looking and I was like, this is crazy. All these big leaguers, they throw the crap out of it and locate really when having some nasty stuff. They hit on their heel. They don't know why do they hit on their heel. So I started looking more and more into it. This is what I found in this next slide. As we go through, every one of those guys are trying to have a firm front knee. Okay, every one of them are trying to have something firm to hit the ground to rotate over and through the pitch. Okay, now firm front knee doesn't mean a hyperextended Justin Verlander knee. Okay, if you watch slow motion of Justin Verlander, his knee's almost going to literally like hyperextend until his legs break. Okay, there's a lot of big leaguers like that. I personally don't think you have to completely lock out your leg to maximize your velocity. You just can't have front knee leakage. Okay, and what I mean by that is hitting and your front knee giving to the plate. It needs to be firm once you hit it. Okay, a lot of studies that I've read, I researched this a lot actually, a lot of studies I've read, every inch that moves forward is 1 to 3 miles per hour to the plate. So that's something I pay attention to a lot. And I got a lot of drills that I'll use to help clean that up if they don't have that. You can use a lot of stuff that's very inexpensive to throw down and let them stride on it. You can literally, I know it sounds crazy, you literally tell them to take their cleat off and stride their sock. It'll make them grip the ground better, their knee won't go. There's a lot of different tricks to help with that. So when you look at this, that's very important. The next thing I'll show you, and this is, sometimes I get a lot of crap for this, but I really believe in it, is being inside 90 degrees with your elbow. Okay? That to me is huge, okay? The most pressure you're ever going to have on your UCL is going to be a layback. I don't care if you're me going 75 miles per hour, one of your high school guys going 80, 85, or you're Justin Verlander throwing 100. Okay? The most pressure they're going to have is that layback right here. Okay? If this is outside of 90, okay, I've pretty much restricted every one of these forearm flexor tendons. I've pretty much restricted them, and they are what helps take the blunt force off of my UCL. Okay? It doesn't really take a whole lot of torque to rip a UCL in half. Okay? Like legitimately doesn't take hardly any at all. Okay? But if I can let these help out with that blunt force, then I can pitch for a really, really long time. It'll amaze you how many big leaguers you'll look at. Nolan Ryan, Greg Maddux, I can keep rolling forever of guys who are inside 90 and you're like, man, that dude pitched forever. Dude was never banged up on. You know, and that's a huge part of it, okay? And you can help teach that. You can legitimately help teach that. So I'll get into more of that as we go through, but that inside 90 degrees is absolutely huge for when shoulder rotation happens and when you lay back. And you can be in that and be in way different arm slots. I don't think anybody in here would say these two dudes come from the same arm slot. Because a lot of times I get, well, you're going to short arm, you're going to be close to the head. No, not necessarily. All right, last thing I'll hit on mechanics, like I said, a little different approach to them, is decel through the finish, okay? I think it's become a buzzword or a hot word now. Everybody's talking about, Dan, you got to decel, you got to do this and that. Yeah, you do, okay? But part of it's going to happen naturally, okay? You're going to decel right after launch, okay? So I call this the layback, okay? I call this the launch, okay? I'm launching the ball out. As soon as the ball leaves my hand, the guys who are going to be the most healthy are decelling instantly, okay? And they're decelling by getting into pronation. Okay, so pronation is going to be thumb down, arm turned over as I go through. Okay, you're going to see guys get into the launch early, and you're going to see them rotate through the finish. Okay, they don't have to be pronated like this throughout the entirety of the finish. Okay, they just have to make sure that when I decel here, when I rotate, this keeps going, and I don't let this just run into the wall. Okay, so I'm not Mark Pryor, I'm not Steven Strasburg, I'm not doing that I love myself pose at the end of it. Okay, and slamming my shoulder there, okay? To me, this posterior bang on the shoulder is going to have a lot of issues with the rotator cuff. If I'm coming here and I just bang up against here, this rotation here is going to save me a lot of stress here and a lot of bang on my elbow about rotating into the throw and giving myself a little bit more time to decelerate that velocity that I'm pushing through there. So the guys who are throwing harder, they gotta have a better decel pattern. Guys who are throwing slower, I would still argue they need it because I think they're going to throw hard. Okay, and then I'll get to that a little bit more later, but I'll go ahead and kind of hit that now before we get to the decel. To me, your gas is only going to push as strong as your brakes are. Okay, so if you're driving a car, you better have some good brakes if you're pushing 90, 95, 100 miles per hour, right? If you need to slam them on. Same thing with your arm. Right? If I tell one of my players right now to run into that wall, okay, he's only going to run as fast as he can slow down. Same thing with your arm and throwing. Got to have good brakes on the arm. All right, here's some cleanup drills. I refer to mechanical deficiencies as something that need to be cleaned up. Again, this is stuff that they would do on their pitcher-specific day when they're doing their drills. Okay, you got jump back drills right here and squat throws right here. Okay, the hips. When I talk about leading with your hips, a A lot of pitchers are very quad dominant, okay? And what I mean by that is when they come through their delivery, they get their weight on their quad very, very early. Okay, so they get here and they kind of push that knee in here, and then a lot gets on their quad and nothing on their hammy and nothing on their glute. Okay, so if I was asking you guys what you want to use in a squat, everybody here would say, hey, you want to sit back, you want to get deep, you want to get in your hamstring, you want to get in your glutes. That's what they need to use on the mat. Okay, a lot of times I have to reprogram what muscles they're firing and how they're initiating. These drills help with it. That jump back, it's very, very hard to jump back fast, land right here, and not sit back in your glutes. If you do that and you go on your quad, you're literally going to fall over. Okay? So I don't do a whole lot of coaching in that drill. It's just, hey man, this is what I want you to do. I want you to jump back as fast as you can. I want you to hit on that back foot, and I want you to try to push as hard as you can, and I want you to let it rip, man. And then pretty much all I say is move faster, do it quickly, move faster. And that right there gets into there. The squat throw, to me, if that doesn't clean it up, this will. The squat throw is very, very simple. I'm here, I'm going to stagger my stance. If you've got an indoor mound, it works even better, because then they can literally drop off the side of it. Okay, they're going to be really, really squatted down into their hammy and into their glute. They're going to be right here, and then they're going to lift up, and they're going to push and go. So as soon as I get up to my leg lift, bam, I'm in and go. The thing I love about this is it cleans up so many things. I can't get off my instep, so I can't be here, lift up and go quick, and sway to the outside of my foot, right? I got to be on the inside of it. Okay, it's pretty hard to go to the outside of your foot while you're coming up and not bust your tail. Number two is I can't do that and get on my quad. It's really hard to get on my quad because I'm already squatted into my hamstring. I've literally had kids do these drills, and they've done one or two of them, and they're like, wow, like I'm working muscles I've never worked for. Like, yeah, I never feel that when I pitch. Like I just feel it up here, I never feel it down here. So if you want a quick way to kind of clean that up, that's the way. Cues for both of them, move faster, move faster. Make sure you stay on the instep of your foot. All right, torques. Guys who have poor hip and shoulder separation. What I mean by that is I'm here, okay, my hips are fully rotated, my shoulders back, okay? So I'm here, and this hurts me to be in this position because I'm getting old, I'm starting to lose flexibility. Okay, these torques really help out with that. Okay, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take my throwing foot, put it a little bit in front of me here. I'm going to try to rotate as hard as I can this way. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to fall off the stage. As hard as I can this way, and as hard as I can back, and throw. Okay, the reason I want this foot forward is you watched exactly what happened to me. I fell into a good deceleration. Okay, so I'm here fast, here back fast, here through, and you're going to fall into a nice turn. Elbow's never going to cross the midline. You're going to protect your arm from some late shoulder bang and really protect your elbow. Quick picks inside 90 degrees. I got tons of drills to help with this. Quick picks are very, very simple. I'm going to cat 3/4 my stance. I'm going to be here. Excuse me. I'm going to be here. All right. I'm going to jump back here with this foot as quick as I can, and I'm going to try to pick him off and throw it there. You can see he throws it pretty hard because he literally handcuffs the kid and he doesn't even catch it. So you're here. You can tap the glove. Okay. If you got a kid, and then let him go so it's quick. If you got a kid who really wants to dip down in here, tell him to start like this, just like Adam starting right there, but don't give him a ball, and you flipping the ball. So you say go, flip the ball, flip it up in here. He's literally got to catch it and roll all at the same time. So just speed him up. Don't give him time to mess it up. Okay, I joke around all the time. You guys probably say the same thing. We give our 18 to 22-year-olds too much free time, they're going to find something stupid to do. Your arm action is the same way. You give it too much time, it's going to find something dumb to do. All right, spin. I can talk about all of this. Spin. The mentality of it's huge. Knowing what you're trying to accomplish is really, really big. Okay, I got to win the last 10 feet. And what I mean by this is I want a fastball look-alike, I want a hard breaking ball, and I want something coming out of your hand that's in the same tunnel as your fastball and changeup. So how do we create that? I think everybody will be like, yeah, give me some of that. How do we create that? We start at short distances. Okay, everything we do to help our spin is going to be very short, 30, 35, 40, 45 feet. Okay, that's going to help them to not cast just to get into their partner. Okay, I had a discussion with a guy I thought was a pretty smart pitching guy. I still think he is. He was talking about throwing breaking balls at like 90, 100 feet. He's like, man, I heard you have some good breaking ball stuff. Pick your brain. And I told him what all I did. He's like, yeah, man, we throw them like 90 feet. That's a terrible idea. Like, you're just casting the crap out of it, man. Like that's not what I want to teach. I want to teach quick. I want to teach short. I want to teach compact. I want to be inside of 90. So to me, that's huge. Inside 90 is shoulder rotation. All right, this is a big thing for me. Okay, when I get the foot strike and I hit, Obviously, I want to be inside that 90, okay? Even if I'm not, that's fine, okay? But when I rotate, I need to keep this arm in tight to me to have good spin. So like everybody coaches and their cues are, you know, think fastball longer, think fastball longer, think. This is how thinking fastball longer happens. It's by being here, and when my shoulder rotation happens, my arm being inside here. Once it gets outside here, or leaks, I got no choice but to cast. I got no choice but to be around. So I got to let that shoulder rotation and let my right shoulder for a righty pitcher get a tiny bit ahead of my left shoulder before I start creating that break to get all of that fastball velocity that my shoulders are creating to get into that break, okay? And again, I could talk 30 more minutes just on that one topic. A thing that's huge for me is your thumb, okay? Your thumb is a big part of it. I feel like it gets neglected like crazy, okay? Everybody wants to talk about the grip and where you're on the ball. Your thumb is huge in this pitch, okay? And I'm literally going to show you why. And if the internet was working on this computer, I'd show you some big leaguers that do it, okay? Bring them over to you. The pronation of a breaking ball, so like people think I'm crazy at first when I talk about that. Pronating a breaking ball is all about your thumb, okay? So if we want to be healthy and we want to spin hard breaking balls, I've got to get my thumb to push through the ball and to the catcher. So if Todd, Coach Allen was my catcher, if I'm here, I got to get my thumb through the ball, okay? So my ball's there through the baseball and to him. Okay, and the way I teach breaking balls is I'm basically going to get it to a certain spot on my catcher for a gimme over breaking ball. Okay, I'm going to be okay. Well, I got to go to his face mask. I got to drive my thumb through his face mask, and I'm going to drive the thumb, and you can literally see my hand pronate like crazy. Okay, the next thing is if I want to chase breaking ball, I got to have another spot. Maybe I'm trying to rip it straight through his midsection. Okay, I'm getting here, and I'm getting through, and I'm trying to be really active with that thumb, and I'm ripping it through his midsection, and that's going to be maybe more of our chase breaking ball. Okay? I'm not arrogant about very much stuff that I teach or know or anything like that. I just know that I can teach this. Like I just flat out know that I can teach this. One thing I can get right is this. And I'm telling you, pronating breaking balls is going to make them harder. Keeping it here is going to make them harder. It's going to make it way better. The grip to me is not the answer. The process of getting out in front to get the spin is the answer. Okay? So I'm going to show you some more drills here right now. All right, close spin. You can see Spencer, it's in slow motion. Okay, he's going to have his arm side foot just a tiny bit in front of his glove side again. So I'm trying to promote a good decel pattern. Okay, you're going to see him, he's literally going to turn. He's going to try to have a little bit shorter arm action than he normally does because he wants to really make sure he gets inside 90. He's going to try to rotate this in slow motion, but he's going to rotate his shoulders really, really hard. Okay, he's going to try to firm up this glove side. If you got a kid with a loose glove slide, tell him to collapse his elbow. So I'm here, boom, pinch that elbow back in. No more helicopter anymore, buddy. That thing's gone. Right? So I'm here, really, really short, pinch that, and then I'm trying to spin it out in front over my glove and then rotate into the finish. Okay? If I can work out in front and get that shoulder rotation to get through there, I'm telling you, the velocity on the breaking ball is going to start creeping, creeping, creeping. Fastball look-alike, the tunneling, whatever you want to call it, creeping, 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 and all of a sudden one day you're going to be there where it's jumping out of that same spot. Rock back's kind of the same principle. He's just going to be spread out. He's going to rock to get him some momentum. He's going to try to shorten that up just a tiny bit. He's going to try to get the foot strike with it inside 90. He's going to try to rotate his shoulders really, really hard, and he's going to try to snap it out over front of the glove and then rotate through it. I want to promote that pronation. I want that to happen. Okay, I got tons of other drills where we'll literally spin the ball back to each other, spin the ball back to ourselves, and drive it here, and I'll drive my thumb over just to start learning. Okay, there's tons of stuff you can do to promote that, to promote arm health and better breaking balls. This is literally 3 big leaguers that I have slow motion video of just off YouTube with them pronating the crap out of their breaking ball. Revere's literally all the way on the other side of the ball, and he literally rolls all the way through to that nasty cut. Okay, I would love to show it to you right now, but we can't get them working. No big deal. You can look up on YouTube and just put Clayton Kershaw slow motion breaking ball. You'll see exactly what I'm doing. Change up, same drills. I don't have video on same drill type, just a different mindset. I'm trying to win the first 10 feet. Very simple. I'm trying to make sure that I don't slow anything down and I let this grip work. Okay? Not this exact grip, it's the grip I got in my hand. I'm going to try to let it work. I'm trying to let it slow the baseball down for me, not my delivery, and not what I'm trying to do. So I got to understand how I'm trying to win with that pitch, and it's the first 10 feet. Okay, I'm thinking dead wrist. Okay, so I'm trying to keep my wrist nice and loose, nice and limp. And I'm also thinking the middle knuckle of my fingers are my fingertips. Okay, I'm trying to take pressure off the ball. So no matter what grip I got, I'm trying to make this part of my hand, or my fingers, trying to make that my new fingertips. That's my pressure points. That's what I'm trying to get through the ball with. It's going to help me kind of make sure the ball rolls off my hand easily instead of choking it, and it's going to really, really help the ball have a little bit more arm side run and sink for it. All right, deceleration. I talked about that earlier. Build the brakes so the gas can last. I just got a few videos of some of the stuff we do for deceleration. Luke right here is throwing a little 2-pound jelly med ball. It's pretty soft, pretty simple. All he's going to do is get into pronation, and he's going to decel it backwards. Okay, so it's basically backwards through his toe motion. He's always going to start in pronation. Okay, so he's going to be here through his delivery, start in pronation, and he's going to throw it backwards. Okay, it's very, very simple. We'll do those a lot. We try to make sure, obviously, to build the brakes so the gas can last. Tommy right here is doing some sock holds. Okay, he's got a 7-ounce baseball. It's inside a sock. Excuse me, it's inside a sock. He's literally just going to go through his delivery with that sock on, that 7-ounce baseball, and he's going to hold on to it better. Okay? You guys have probably seen a lot of stories about guys, tennis players, guys doing weighted balls, holds, or whatever you want to call them. Okay, this is kind of a modified version of that. You just don't see a lot of tennis players with elbow injuries or messed up shoulders. And the reason why is the weight they hit the ball with, they still have in their hand as they finish. Okay? You guys look up Roger Federer or whoever you want to, they're going to pronate the crap out of their tennis racket, and they're going to hold on to it through the entirety of the swing. So to me, that's very simple to understand. Kind of hard sometimes to execute, but it can really help you out. Okay, another thing that our pitchers do a lot when they're not actually pitching, I think a lot of people get kind of bogged down. They're like, man, when he's not actually throwing and doing all this stuff, that's great. You know, what can I do with him other than shag fly balls? This is huge for us, okay? We use our wall a lot, okay? And at the beginning of the fall, I make them do it every day before we even throw, okay? At all the studies I've done, maximum hand-to-ball speed for a big leaguer, for a high school kid, for a college kid, for a 10-year-old is anywhere from 7 to 11 inches out in front of their front foot, okay? If I asked every one of you guys to throw with somebody in this room right now, and you threw a ball, you'd have no clue where that's at. You just be like, yeah, I felt it up front. I guess that's 7 inches. No, that one felt a little back, right? I don't know where it's at, because I don't do these. I'm not saying they actually work. I'm just saying they make it a little better, make it a little closer. Okay, but what I started doing last year is we literally stand 7 to 11 inches off the wall with our front foot. We try to firm up our front knee, and I want our guys to feel where that 7 to 11 inches is. Okay? And the further away from the wall you are, the closer is going to be dictated by your delivery. Okay, it's something very simple, something that sometimes get monotonous with them, but you can change grips, you can do breaking balls into it, change ups into it, and all we're trying to do is firm up the front knee, go through our arm path, put a little bit of pressure on that wall, and kind of feel where that's at. The hip drill off the wall, you can see he's just got a towel in his hands. This is for a guy who just doesn't lead with their hips at all. So like you got the tall fall guy, you got the stork, he's just here, kind of, okay? If he tries to do this drill up against the wall and be a tall fall guy, he's going to ram his knuckles into that wall very, very quickly. Okay, so you just get the wall here, he's just up against it. I even put some of our guys who are literally up on the wall with their foot so it initiates that hip drive for them. And then I just tell them to lift up and go and try to push as far off the wall as you can push. So boom, they're here, and they got enough room to do their arm swing by pushing off the wall, and they don't hit the wall when they go. All right, hip mobility. This is something that I've gotten bigger and bigger as years go by. I mean, JT and JJ both have already been up here talking. Todd will be up here talking about base running next. And you'll hear them talk about hips. Okay? Everything in baseball uses your hips. Okay? So to me, learning some small hip mobility exercises and running your guys through it can literally save them from injury, can make them a more powerful athlete. Okay? It can do so many more things than just pitching the baseball or just fielding. So you see him do hydrants, which are the ones he does that are straight out right there. You see him do circles, which are just a little circle backwards. You'll see him do kickbacks, which is when he kicks straight back in circles. The cues for this, nice flat back. I want to have a really nice flat back when I'm in this, and I want to be looking down or straight ahead. I don't want to arch my back, like a lot of kids want to get down there and they want to arch it up and then do it. I want to keep a nice neutral spine. Is a good way to say it. So I'll make our guys lay their hat down when they're first learning it and just look at their hat, set up their spine, and stay nice and straight as they go through it. All right, last slide, just some T-spine mobility stuff. Your thoracic spine is basically the spine that are around your rib cage. This is going to help with hip and shoulder separation a lot. Okay, like I said, I do think you can teach that. I do think you can help that. There's tons of different ways to do this. Okay, but basically all you're trying to do is increase their hip and shoulder separation and make it where their back doesn't get as sore. Okay, a lot of you guys probably have guys that get sore in between their shoulder blades or up in their shoulders here. Your T-spine mobility can really help out with that. The The sunrise is the first one that Luke's doing. Should happen right here in just a second. This one right here, he's just going to push his hand out to initiate the scout. And he's going to go around very, very slowly with his hand in pronation. Okay, and he's just going to follow with his hand the entire time there, and the entire time back, and then right back in where it was, and then he'll go again. And he's just going to follow that around the entire time as he goes through. The look-throughs are the second one that he's doing. He's literally just looking through. He's taking this hand, he's kind of pushing on this knee, and he's trying to get really good hip and shoulder separation throughout as he goes through there. Like I said, there's tons of stuff I could have hit. Hopefully you guys got something out of that. If you got questions about anything else related to pitching, I'd be happy to field those questions. We'll talk about ISD, quick to the play, arm action drills, anything that you want to talk. I love talking pitching, so I really enjoy it. Coach Al will come up and he'll have some base running stuff.
All right. I know we're throwing, at least I feel like we're just throwing a ton at you in a short amount of time, but hopefully you guys are taking some of this in. All right. We talk about emphasis up front. When we talk about base running, we do 20 to 30 minutes of base running when we start practice every single day. It's actually the first thing we do. We feel like it's a separator for us. We feel like it's actually something we can instill some fear in our opponents, whether it's stealing bases, going first to third, whatever the case may be, we feel like this can be there every single day. So our position players, they get on the right field line, they warm up, and they know they're getting 20 to 30 minutes of base running straight up. We can hit this at a ton of different angles. I feel like something that's most applicable or something you guys would be most interested in is what we're trying to do to steal bases. And we've been fortunate enough to have athletic players, and for the last 2 years straight, we've actually led the NCAA Division I in stolen bases. We've actually stolen 320 bases in the last 2 seasons. And I can tell you we have not done it with blazing fast runners, 6'5" runners. Most of our guys are 6'9", 7 flat runners. It's technique and it's reach, and we'll go ahead and get into this right now. First thing we're going to do is start with our setup. This is Carson Long. He's actually our starting catcher. He's actually one of our best base runners as well. He is explosive, but he's not overly fast in a 60-yard dash, but he has great reactionary skills, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. Initial setup, we want to be athletic. Slightly open, we're talking about that front foot right there. We want to create almost a 45-degree angle. We want to be slightly staggered, meaning that front toe is going to be basically about the middle of our foot right here. Slightly open, slightly staggered. Hands neutral right here. I feel like I see a lot of BS when I see young players try to steal bases. Hands down here, hands behind the back, spirit fingers down below their knees. It's all bull crap. Hands neutral, take them completely out of the equation. Biggest key we say, and I say this probably more than I say anything else when I coach, every day. Chest up, chin up, eyes up. Chest up, chin up, eyes up. A lot of those sprinters, our strength coach, we actually had a run in the other day. He's doing sprinting drills, and he's like, guys, I want your feet, eyes down, playing into the ground. And I pulled him aside and said, hey man, that's a great technique, but we make terrible base running reads like that. We need to be chest up, chin up, eyes up, all the way through the process. Go ahead. All right, we're going to talk about how do we get confident. The biggest thing we feel like is we instill confidence in our guys, and we try to get them confident. Confident is knowing exactly what you're doing. If you know exactly what you're doing, exactly where you are, you're going to be more confident. So, as opposed to determining a notch on the field, a break in the grass, whatever the case may be, we legitimately measure 9 feet, 10 feet, 11 feet, 12 feet, 13 feet from first base. And we paint those lines probably 30 to 40 times a year as we go throughout practice, especially up front. So those guys, we have a way of getting their leads so they know exactly where they're at. But 9 feet is the most measurable, which is why we use it. A good aggressive lead is about 11 feet. When you get to 12, you're pushing it, and 13, you're borderline suicidal. But 11 feet is a good aggressive lead, so how do we want to get there? Go ahead. Okay, once we get to first base, we know where our lead is. We tell those 4 guys, there are those lines out there. All right, we're going to an 11-foot lead. They start with their left foot. I don't have it up here, but it's left, right, left. Just like you're walking down the hall of class, it gets you to 9 feet. And then they take 1-foot shuffles with their back foot, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's kind of hard to see, but you can see these guys, they all go the same way. Left foot first, that gets them right to 9 feet, and you can see them hopefully shuffling out to there to 10 or 11. What are our keys once we're in that good athletic stance that Carson showed us? Our left knee wants to create a direct, straight line right to second base. which is why we're slightly open. It's why we're slightly staggered. We want to be able to take this knee and punch it in a straight line right to second base. If we're squared up and I'm toe-to-toe, it has to go slightly around, and we're down to inches, we're down to milliseconds. We want to create a direct straight line with that left knee punch. The first step, we want to elongate it, we want to exaggerate it, whatever you want to call it. That first step, we want to make it as big as possible. So in practice, when our guys are right here, it's not just getting over this front foot. We want to get about 2.5, 3 feet out so we can make that initial punch. How far can you get with that first step? Guys aren't going to hit and fall backwards. It's natural. They're athletes. See how far they can get, and they go. What we want to accomplish is we want to see how much ground we can gain in our first 3 steps. Our cues: punch, punch. Punch, punch with your left foot. Punch with your left knee. Punch again into the ground to see how much ground you can gain. Billy Hamilton, the guy who's been stealing bases all over God's green earth, it takes him less steps to get to second base than anybody else in the big leagues. It takes him 11.5. The average big leaguer, it takes them 13 to get from an 11-foot lead to second base. He's not the fastest man in the history of baseball. He's not the fastest man in the history of anybody who's played the sport. He just takes less steps to get there. So if you can gain the most ground in those first 3 steps, it's really what you want. So a lot of times I'll stand back there with a fungo, I'll watch, say, this first young man right here, and I'll go there and I'll just mark that 3rd step. Hey Cody, you're right there, that's your 3 steps. And then the next time he sees how much more ground he can gain. Okay? From second base, our 2 key distances are 15 feet and 18 feet. If we get to 15 feet, we want to create momentum before the pitcher picks up. If we can get to 18 feet, then we're going to be able to go with a regular jump like we talked about from second base. Go ahead and go to the next one. We'll start getting into this. So same thing. Left foot first, 5 straight steps. You can see these guys are pretty good at getting right to 15 feet every single time. Again, confidence is knowing what you're doing. 15 feet, we want to shuffle before leg kick. When we shuffle, we want our chest to the plate, or excuse me, chest to the pitcher. So when we shuffle here, we don't want to turn. We want to stay here on our shuffle. Our first crossover, we want our chest to stay here, and we actually want our eyes on the pitcher for the next 3 steps. It's really going to help counterbalance or counteract that inside move. Once our guy turns this way and takes off, there's no more read. If we read an inside move right here, we're still in a good position. We have momentum, we can still read, and I promise you it doesn't slow him down. Like I said, eyes on the pitcher for 3 more steps. This is what you're seeing right here with this shuffle, and you can see this is a good aggressive shuffle. This guy right here, this is actually Carson, the one we took the picture of. You can see him, when he shuffles one motion, he's actually going to clear this 18-foot line. That's a pretty good shuffle. That's pretty aggressive of him getting out there. You got to get him confident, you got to get him working on it. Okay? Go ahead. All right, what to look for. This is where we feel like we make our money. This is where we feel like that we've got it quantified as well as we feel like we can quantify it. Well, let's start with what to look for. What are we reading? Against a right-handed pitcher, we're reading that front left shoulder right here. Almost every single time, that right-handed pitcher's initial movement will either be back this way or a slight turn in this way. A lot of people like to teach heels. We focus right here. Plus, you're also going to see that pick when it comes over. So in order to drive that home with those guys, we come set in our drills, and I don't give them any bottom half to make a read. All I'll do is give them a slight shoulder turn. All right, guys, 11 feet, jumps on me. That's enough. Now you know they're focusing right there. Against the lefty, obviously that leg kick, everything is different. But one thing I found is that glove side. Very, very rarely. I've seen one pitcher in the 10 years I've been coaching in Wofford. His name was Nick Hill. He pitched at Army. He could take his glove this way and pick this way. But every single time, that glove usually goes before the ball. So if you're getting a little confused, all of a sudden you see that glove goes towards home plate, I can promise you, 99 times out of 100, that ball is going to fall behind it. That was in 07. Haven't seen a pitcher been able to do that since. Okay. We've all been coaching third, we've all been out there, and this is the way I started to think about this. I looked over, I'm coaching third base, I want to give straight steal. I look over and I feel great because I've got a reactionary, athletic player at first base. He's got a monster lead, and that guy to the plate is extremely slow. I know it. I bet my mortgage that if that guy takes off on this pitch, he's going to be safe. I know it. I bet everything I have on it. I know this. I can see it. I can read it. On the converse side of that, I got a slug over there with a 9-foot lead who can't run, with terrible reactionary skills, and a guy who's very fast at the plate. I know unless a mistake happens, he's out 1,000 out of 1,000 times. So I kept thinking to myself, where's the breaking point? It's got to break at some point. Where does it go from safe to out? Where does it turn over? If we guarantee this guy's safe and we know this guy's out, it's got to meet somewhere. And I sat there forever trying to figure out exactly where that breaking point is. And honest to God, I feel like we've got a pretty good system to do it. The reactionary skill of the runner, like I said, it's not straight line. You see guys, guy comes set, and he goes to the plate, and your base runner, our base runner kind of gives that flinch. Nope, poor reactionary skills. You see that guy come set, he doesn't have steal, he goes to the plate, and your guy's busting out of there. He reads it just like that. Those reactionary skills are what we look for. Pitcher's time to the plate, anywhere from 1-1 to 1-8. 1-3 is pretty good. 1-4, 1-5, 1-6. You're really starting to get up there. We teach our pitchers to be 1-2 on a fastball, so they're no slower than 1-3 on a breaking ball. Once you get in that 1-4 zone, you're really getting yourself in a dangerous position with us. Distance of lead. So you combine the player's reactionary skills, the pitcher's time to the plate, and his distance of his lead, then he knows exactly where he's at, and every single one of our guys we give a formula to, they quantify that, and they know when to go, and they know when to not go. And we relay every single pitcher's time to the plate in a game, I give it to them. And you see me in a game, I'll sit there and I'll go just like that, and then I'll go into my signs. That means he's 1-3. That means he's 1-4, 1-5, 1-6, 1-7. So those guys at first base, they know his time to the plate every single pitch. They know their lead because we've ingrained it in them. They've got all the information they need. They add up the combination of those three things, and I can tell you when they're going to be safe or out. It's pretty crazy, and our first-year guys think we're pretty arrogant with it, but they'll be at first base. I'll look over there and be like, that's an 11-foot lead. This guy's a 1-3 to the plate. That's probably not good enough for him. He takes off in his first 3 steps. I'm going, you're out. And they kind of something like, you're out. The next thing you know, ball's right there, boom. All of a sudden, guy takes off. I'm like, he's at 12. That guy's a 1-4 to the plate. That guy's got good reactionary skills, and he takes off. He's good. He takes off. I'm like, perfect. Now we got a guy on second. And the play hasn't even developed yet. Quantify it. Quantify it. There is that breaking point in there. From second base, aggressiveness to shuffle. Notice we've taken out the reactionary of the runner. We've given him athleticism with the shuffle. So now the reactionary skills don't come into play. Aggressiveness with the shuffle, pitcher's time to the plate, and either a right-hander or left-handed batter in the box. With a lefty in there, it's got to be 1 tick slower to the plate, or with the righty in there, a tick quicker. That catcher's got to go around that right-handed batter. Okay? The best thing I can tell you, and I can talk about this all night, just like Jason can talk about spin, but quantifying that and trying to figure out that breaking point is what it is. And I can tell you, I've spent years trying to figure that out with our guys, but I feel like we've got a pretty good handle on it. We're not overly fast, but I feel like every time a base is there for us to take, our guys take it. And I feel like that's a huge advantage for us.
All right, Coach McGuire and myself are going to tag team our hitting portion of everything. Coach, now you can jump right into this.
Okay.
2 of our big things for us, especially right now, when we think about it, first day of practice was today. We're getting into a 56-game schedule. You guys are probably about to do the same thing as us. 2 of the big things right now are these 2 philosophies for us. We're not in the market at this point in the year to talk mechanics with our players to the nth degree. Yeah, maybe little tweaks here and there, maybe an oil change, but we're not going to fix the engine right now, because that's the last thing we want is guys walking to the plate thinking about where my hand's got to be. Is my front foot getting down? That guy's lost before he got up there. So for us, it starts right now in January with pitch selection. Are you swinging at the right pitch? Are you going after the right spot, in the right count? All that little stuff is big for us. And when we have approach over mechanics, the guys who come into college and slow the game down the fastest are the guys who have an idea of what they're doing with the body. They're not the guy, Vladimir Guerrero, trying to swing at everything up there. They are slowing the game down because they're swinging at the right pitches. They're swinging at the right pitches, and it's slowing everything down for them, and they're going to make themselves a nice little entity for us when it starts to come to game, because this guy has an idea of what he's doing.
Okay, our mental mindset, we try and keep it very simple. Our focus is squaring up baseballs. We want to try and hit the ball solid at any point of contact, whether it be an inside pitch, a pitch down the middle, or a pitch away. Our main focus is to square the baseball up. We try to kind of go hand in hand with that aggressive mentality at your pitch. So we'll kind of get into our approach and how our selectiveness goes. But our verbiage to them is we would rather go 0-1 in the count than 0 for 1 on the day. So we want to be selectively aggressive.
So I understand the point from there is, so these guys' hitting philosophy is swing at good pitches and hit the ball hard. Pretty simple, right? How do you coach this simple concept in our mind? The first thing we do is we establish an approach. We have these kids come in and we physically paint this picture together. For the upperclassmen, the juniors, the seniors, they have an idea of what they can do, what pitch they can handle, what pitch they can't handle. For these young guys, they think they have an idea of what they can do, but they haven't played college yet. So our big thing for them is you try to lead that horse to water, and you go off what you've seen when you're recruiting them, and maybe some inner squads that you've seen already. But your big thing is these guys have to buy in to what you guys are creating together. Because if they don't, first thing hits the fan, they're questioning your approach and what they're doing up there. So if you create this idea of what pitch you should go for, and what point, and what count, and everything like that, they believe in it a lot more, and they have a lot more credibility and ownership in this idea of an approach. So you come through here and you look at 3 of our hitters. We have a power guy who had 7 home runs for us last year. He's probably going to hit 3 home for us this year. Probably have our 2 guys sitting in the middle, gap to gap, probably more extra base hits than he is hitting home runs. And you have a slap guy here who probably hit 249 and slugged 256 for us last year. So you have 3 different guys. So you're not going to sit up here and say, that guy's got the same idea of what pitches to go after with no strikes as the guy in the middle, as this slap guy right here. Create each one, and I use this corny expression, every guy's a snowflake. Nobody's going to be the same. So that's the same thing with these 3 guys. Yeah, you might have 2 power guys. One guy might be an oppo guy, one guy might be a pull guy. So they're not going to have the same approach. You have to create each guy's approach a little bit different. And when I say create it, you're going to literally hand them a piece of paper of what it should look like. And that's what we do. And the thing is it going to change in a game when there comes in a thumbing lefty and these are all righties? Of course it is. You're going to have to make some audibles at the line and make some adjustments. That's a given. But you need to hold these guys accountable day in and day out in practice and hold them to something. Is that in your no-strike spot? No, coach, it's not. Well, okay, we got to hold you accountable to that because you created this with us. So another way to coach this up is we start on the tee, and I don't have video of tee in here, but the tee is you're going to start middle in, you're going to work middle, and you're going to work away. It starts out there. You're working those pitches. Each guy, again, is going to be different. A small guy, one of our small infielders, probably going to start at knee height. He's probably not going to go much higher than that because he's 5'7". Big power guys can move the inside pitch up and down a lot more. Everybody's a little different. You see here, this is Alec Paranowski. He started at shortstop for us the last 2 years. Probably going to start every day for us. Probably one of our better hitters. If you watch this, Alec takes about 3 or 4 pitches in this round of 5 swings. I understand we all throw BP. We all hate that kid that just takes pitches that are right down the middle. I'm not saying that. If the pitch isn't in his spot, that location you're giving him that round, so we're doing middle here. If that pitch isn't in his spot, we have to have a positive reinforcement that, hey, that's a good take right there. Because that's going to make him better. That's going to realize, he's going to realize that that's a really good lead, and that's going to make me better, because all of a sudden I'm going to be in a better count to do damage. So when he's sitting here taking pitches, it's helping him. If they're not there, of course, scold him if it's right down the middle, he should be hit. Scold him, go to town. We're not going to argue against that. And then the other thing is, when he swings at a pitch that's not in the right spot, so his big thing is he starts looking at pitches up. he starts leaking up pitches up about his belly button. The thing that gets in trouble is he's got to start to realize that. So instead of saying, hey, you can't swing at that and jumping right down his throat, our way of doing it is you ask him. He knows what it means when you ask him. He's not an idiot. Hey, was that pitch up? If you're asking me, it probably was up, Coach. Yes, it was. So these juniors and seniors start to figure out what pitches, and they're calling it before we even say a word. That pitch was probably up. Yeah, it probably was up. So they're starting to understand their approach, and by the time they're 2-3 years in, they're really owning it and creating this thing, and they're really taking some pride in it.
Okay, so how we coach the approach gathering game footage. So this is an inter squad. This is one of our freshmen, Matt Dickinson. He actually hits a home run in this video. But the way we gather the info, we have our team manager film from behind the plate like she's doing right now, and either myself or another player will chart the pitches. So Mac has his approach that he has come up with us as far as what he likes in different situations. So basically, he is going through his pitch selection, and there's his home run right there. But if he were to swing at a pitch out of his zone, we mark that pitch with a red pen and circle it with what that count was. If he happens to swing at a pitch in his zone, like he did with his home run, we mark it with a green pen and circle it. So now we give him instant feedback after that day is over with, and we give it to each guy, and we can post it in their locker room or their locker, and you know, they can come in and talk to us about what they saw that day or what they want to adjust as far as their approach.
So how do you create this in drills? And this is a tough thing for us, but we feel like we have some good drills to really work on this. We call this a one swing round. We name the location when they walk in, and you have 6 guys in the cage right here. A one swing round is so great because now all of a sudden they're not going to a mind-numbing 10 swings, 5 swings, whatever it is. You're giving them one opportunity to go in there. So this round, we're saying middle. You have one swing, middle. You're telling me that kid's not going to lock in a little bit more, swing at a pitch that he can absolutely hammer because he's going to get one attempt at swing at a pitch. So he's going to lock in, focus a little bit more, and make sure he's getting a quality result off. So we incorporate these all the time at the end of rounds to just, hey, we have 4 minutes left, as many one swing rounds as we can. First one's middle, then we're going to go away, and then we're going to go middle in. It puts a lot of ownership on them, makes them stay locked in, makes them stay focused, and there becomes a little competition off of this, and we'll show you some other drills we do with this one swing round. Another great drill we have here, this is actually Alex Malsh. He's a state 1A player of the year last year in South Carolina. We call this short BP. Mentalize BP, now move it up a little shorter. So you move it about 6-7 feet, keep it the same velocity, pick it up a little bit. The thing you're doing here is you're naming that location. So Alex is working away here. Alex is looking away, thinking away, anticipating that ball away. If it's coming in a little firmer, so you're thinking that little league distance, and you're thinking it's probably equivalent to 90 to 95 miles an hour when it's that short. You think Alex can cover the middle in pitch, the up pitch, the down pitch, or just the away pitch? The answer is just the away pitch. He'll get in trouble when he starts trying to cover too much of the play. That's where it starts eating him up. So we do these short BP rounds, and the big thing we started it with is with guys to start to know their zones up and down. So you get a guy who loves that high fastball, you bring him up to some short BP rounds, he's not going to like that high fastball anymore when it's coming in 95 and can't catch up to it. He's just hitting catcher pops. Doesn't really work out for him. So short BP is a great one to make them learn their approach and figure out what can work for them.
Okay, so how to coach the mindset. An example of that is we like to, our verbiage is to say away and not a 2-strike count. Okay? We feel like if you mention that this is a 2-strike pitch or a 2-strike approach, you have a defensive mindset. We want to stay aggressive no matter what. We want to stay aggressive on that away pitch, and if it happens to be we're looking away and it leaks in middle in, we still have a hard hit mentality with an aggressive approach. So hard hit lasers, they're the best. So like I just said, if we are working a way round and we happen to smoke a ball right up the middle, it's okay. If it was a 4 rolled over on it or we fouled it off, that's the negative side, and we'll reinforce that. So our hitting system, our rating system in BP, a 1 would be a swing and a miss, a 2 is a swinging bunt or a foul ball, a 3 is a routine hit or a ground ball, a 4 is something that we really squared up, and a 5 is a laser, a ball that clears the fence.
So the thing we started to do, and we're actually doing it right now, we did this on Tuesday, and we do it once a week. There's no way we can simulate inter-squads, games. I understand that. There's nothing like live pitching. BP's not the same as live pitching. I'm not saying that. The thing you can do is you start to put ownership on these guys with 5 swings. So we do a cage target. They get 5 swings away, 5 swings middle, 5 swings middle in. And we now rate that on the scale Coach McGuire just went through. So the best score you can get is a 25, and they're trying to shoot for that. So now they're locked in for those 5 swings, because think about it. If you have 4 at-bats in games, how many swings you get? 8, 10, maybe? So those 5 swings is direct correlation to the game. You're comparing it. It's not going to be the game, but it's the closest thing we can bring to them to make it game realistic for them. The great thing about this is, this goes in the locker room. This is posted up weekly. They see their difference between week 1 and week 2, and then when we do it next week, they're going to see the difference between week 2 and week 3. It's great. It's a great way for them to see it, and we're incorporating the hard hit ball. When we're working middle, we don't care if the ball goes to right field or left field as long as it's hit hard. And the last thing we're going to talk about is some competitions we use to kind of generate some juice with our guys instead of just normal BP. The first one we call it total score, and it's adding up with that scale that Coach McGuire just said, 1 through 5, and we do 1 swing rounds. You can do it one-on-one, so if Coach McGuire and myself went at it, the way we do it is you give them a number. First guy to 30 wins. Little competition going back and forth. Some guy can do it 6 swings, if he had a really, really good round, he might take 8. Who knows? But it's back and forth, and all they're thinking about is the location you give them for that round. So if we're saying middle, they're just trying to hammer balls and get up to that score as quick as they can. The other way we do it is we make them into teams. We get a lot of times we get 9 guys out there, so we break them into 3 teams of 3. And this is great because we break them up, and you're now doing it. Each round is 1 point. So everybody gets 1 swing, your whole team goes, you get 12. The other team goes, they get 12. The last team goes, he gets 10. So we have 2 teams tied. The great thing about this now becomes, now you have a swing off. You can tie a swing off. So it's now, all the pressure becomes on him, trash talk starts, get a little juice going, now we're directly correlating this to a game. This is very game realistic. One guy's going to win that round because one's going to be harder than the other one. So that creates a little energy, a little momentum, and another way for competition, and also bringing in with approach and squaring up baseballs and hit them as hard as you possibly can.
Our last one is called the round. So we give them the choice. Say we want to go middle. Has to be a 4 or 5. So examples of that is, and kind of what we try and stay away from is the outcome. So we don't ever try and tell these guys, okay, let's try and hit it right back at the L screen, or let's try and hit the back of the net. We want to focus more on hitting the balls hard. So knuckles, which is obviously one of the toughest things to do, try and keep it around the middle of the field, between the light poles. So we usually shoot for the left field light pole and the right field light pole. Try and keep it 15 feet or under. Those are the most dangerous balls to try and hit, or to try and field. The easiest ball is a fly ball, so we try and steer away from that.
The last thing we'll say is, we're talking about approach. The big thing with the approach is, it's something that works, but it has to be talked about often, often, often. You can never talk about it enough. You always got to correct that guy in the cage if he swings at a bad pitch, because if he swings at it, a bad pitch, and he hits it hard, what is he thinking in his head? I could probably hit that pitch in a game. Well, in a game that's 85, not 56. So we have to always correct those guys, and that's with approach. And always correct them and point it out to them, because it always works. Hey, was that a pitch that you can normally hit? No, it's probably up. I would agree with that. So approach is one of those things that if you consistently stay on them, you're going to start to see a big change, and it's going to help you guys out a lot because you're going to find a way to get to first base.
Okay, I promise we're on the last rotation today. things that we try to instill in our guys and that I try to instill, like I said, influence the influencers. The big thing is we want to keep it the same. We want to keep it the same between practice and a ground ball. And I'm going to jump right to this line right here because I believe this to my inner soul. Clutch isn't being different, it's being able to keep it the same. The fungo that JJ hits in September, it's exactly the same ground ball that kid's going to feel to try to finish the ninth with the bases loaded in a one-run game. The ball doesn't know it's different. We want our guys to keep every situation the same. Another example I want to hit is a pitcher. They get in the count, 3-2 count, 2 outs, bases loaded, the guy's moving. Coach Burke calls fastball away. Like I told our guys, it's not the pitch of your life. It's not the most difficult thing you've ever done. It's not the most important thing you'll ever do. It's just a fastball away. That's all it is. Keep it the same. It's the same fastball away you've thrown in the bullpen. It's the same fastball away you've been throwing your whole life. Keep it the same. My responsibilities as our head coach, your responsibilities as your head coach. I am a very, very emotional person. My wife makes fun of me for that more than anything. I cry, I laugh, I'm excitable, I get sad quickly. I'm just a very emotional person. The most difficult thing for me to do is when I'm wearing this uniform and I'm on the field, my emotions are the dead last thing that matters in our program. I don't have the freedom to be emotional. I don't have the freedom to make rash decisions. My emotions come last if they come up at all. We want to speed them up in practice because we want to slow them down in a game. Everybody knows it's kind of hard to create some juice in practice. The most passionate speeches I give are pre-practice. I want to get them jacked up. I want to get them fired up. I want to get those guys ready to go. I want them getting ready to fight each other and headbutt each other because I want to create some juice in practice so they know what it feels like to go at it with a heart rate. Now, do I berate those guys and scream and yell and cuss at them? No, but I'm trying to motivate the hell out of them because I want to jack them up in practice because I know when we come around on February 13th and Boston College rolls in, I know their heart rates are going to be through the roof. And that's where I want to get them. And then once we get to game situations and we get pre-game, my voice calms down, I talk slower, a little funnier, try to keep it loose, slow them down the game, jack them up in practice, and help them slow it down the game. Tries to keep them the same. Consistent language all the time. JJ said with defense, ball first. The same cues I use in practice are the same exact cues I use in the game. I want them to hear the exact same thing coming out of my mouth in the bottom of the ninth is the exact same thing that I told them the first fungo they took their day coming in as a freshman. It's got to be consistent. If I want them to be the same, then I've got to stay the same. Keep it immediate. This is something that I really believe in that's maybe a little contradictory. I hate when people set goals. I hate setting goals. Goals are futuristic. Goals are made up. Goals are BS. I can't coach futuristic things that don't exist. I need to coach facts. I need to coach reality. Goals are that. Let me ask you this question. What do you think your backup shortstop goals are for the year? Probably to be your starting shortstop. Probably a batting average. Probably a certain number of hits, certain number of extra base hits. As soon as he figures out he can't reach those goals, good luck trying to coach that kid. You got a kid who's really good, who's very talented, he's accomplished everything he set out to be, that's a hard kid to motivate. I don't want to coach futuristic BS. I want to coach reality. So we try to set expectations. We feel like those are practical. What's an expectation for you? Every single one of you guys went to work today, I'm assuming. You got up, took a shower, kissed your wife goodbye, and you went to work. And let's say you taught second period. You walked in, you sat behind your desk, you were able to unlock your door, you were able to get in there, your classroom looked exactly the way you expected it to look. And then you started your day. When you sat in that chair ready to start teaching class, you didn't accomplish a goal. You didn't fist pump and fire yourself up. Hell yeah, I made it to work today. No, it's an expectation. You expected to be there. So what do you set? We want to set pre-practice expectations. We want to set effort expectations. So I tell our guys, hey, are you struggling? Yes, sir, I am. Then I expect you, and you should expect it yourself, to get 100 extra swings before we ever start practice. I expect you to give maximum effort. I expect you to be dialed in. I expect you to be attentive to detail, and I expect you to improve, and you should expect the same. And if they do that, man, I pound them. Compliment the hell out of them. Push them. Everything we can do. We talk about development. If they improve this much, I just throw as many rainbows and as many compliments as I can get at them. Because I want to jack those guys up, man. They want immediate feedback. If a goal for our Friday night guys to throw 100 innings, how am I ever going to compliment him on attaining that goal until the end of the year? So I'm never going to tell him he's accomplished anything until he reached an end goal? That doesn't make any sense to me. That's futuristic. I can't coach that. I want to coach the present. I want to coach the immediate. Go ahead. The next one, we want to keep it about us. We got 35 guys in our program, and I can promise you, every single one of those guys did not grow up dreaming of playing baseball at Wofford College. I can promise you that we had guys with South Carolina flags in their bedrooms and Clemson flags in their bedrooms. And our best player, the Paradowski kid that JJ showed, he grew up in College Station, Texas. Where do you think he wanted to go to school? He didn't even know where the hell Wofford was when we called him. So we want to keep it about us. Wofford stuff only. That's all we want to do. I don't want to see any other garb. I don't want to see any other school represented. You're a Wofford baseball player, man. Wear that, wear it with pride. We want to instill that in them. We want to invest them in the program. The other thing, look at all four of us. We're all clean shaven. We're all clean cut. I feel like we're well dressed. We expect our kids to do the same. Why? Because it fits the culture of Wofford College. We're the #1 school in the state. We're $50,000 a year. It takes at least a 1200 SAT. You think we can have our guys that feel like they're invested in Wofford with long hair and shaggy beards and earrings and cut-off shirts? Those guys don't blend in. You want them invested in the college just like you want them in the program. But I also can't take a clean-cut, clean-shaven kid up to the mountains of North Carolina and tell them to really buy into Appalachian State. That's probably not going to fit up there. But we want them to fit into our culture and our atmosphere. Keep them connected to the past. We involve our alumni as much as we can. Last year, I texted every single alumni that had played for me, and I said, hey, if you can give our guys a piece of advice in a script, a quote, a message, something you wish you heard from somebody that was in your position, email it to me, text it to me, send it to me. And we created the alumni quote of the day. And I got great responses from those guys. And I put it up in practice. Because I felt like a quote from John Brandt, who maybe none of you in this room have ever heard of, who's a good player for us, who's in medical school down at the University of Florida as the chief resident, killing it. He could probably offer some really good advice to our kids. Probably more so, and maybe touch them more than, say, a Muhammad Ali quote. So we wanted an alumni quote. We got those guys involved. We put an alumni on the bus. Every time we travel, an alumni is sitting on the bus with us. We don't charge them. We pay for their meals. We put them on the bus. We put them in the hotel. We give them their own room. We treat them like royalty. And now those guys, they're in the dugout with us. They're on the Cajun VP. They're right there. So our guys, every time they go on the road, they see somebody who's invested just like they have. And they know they're playing for something that's already been built, and they're trying to build up on it. The last one, don't confuse me on this. Expose them to their teammates. I'm not talking about embarrassing them. I'm not talking about bullying them. I'm trying to talk about exposing their souls and their experiences to their teammates. You think they really expose themselves through Twitter, through Facebook, sitting in the locker room? No chance. So we switched our practice plans this year. I emailed our guys and said, I want every single one of you to write me a message of what it means to you to be a part of Wofford College baseball. Every guy wrote me something awesome. Got them all sitting in my inbox, and I put them up one day at a time. I've got some that are 3 lines long, that are very powerful. I've got one that's 2 pages long, single-spaced, talking about how he was adopted at 12 years old because his parents were arrested in South Carolina, got thrown in prison. His foster parents picked him up out of a home, brought him in. Those parents got divorced. He was supposed to end up at the #1 school in the state, and he's pitching for us, and he's a huge part. He gets up, he reads that passage, it's on the locker room, he tells his story. You mean to tell me that conversation is going to happen through Twitter? No chance. I need to connect the guy from upstate New York to the guy from Los Angeles, because we have both of those guys in our program. Hell, they can't even understand each other sometimes. You get a kid from upstate New York trying to talk to a kid from Shelby, North Carolina, it's comical. But you connect them, and you expose them, and you want to get them there. We want to expose them to their teammates. We want to create that juice between them. Last one, keep it simple. Stay focused on what matters, improve what you can control, and develop important relationships. What matters is where you are. I got a wife, I got a kid, I got 35 players I'm responsible for. I can't do anything about them right now. This is where I am, this is what I'm doing. That's it. What do I control? Nothing else besides the way I'm talking to you right now. I don't control anything else in my life besides what I'm currently doing. If I'm out at practice and we're doing infield drills, that's what I control, and I want to make that better. I want to challenge JJ, hey man, can we do this better? Hey, is there a better coaching point? Is there another cue? Improve what you control, and all you control is what you're doing. And then improve the most important relationships. I promise you my wife is the most important person in my life. I promise you my daughter is the most important person in my life. But the most important relationship you have is the person you're talking to. That's it. So when I go down to the bullpen, or I sit back behind the plate, and I'm talking to guys, and he's telling me about his day, and he's telling me about his experience, that is the most important relationship in my life. And I want to invest in that. Because I need to make that 18-year-old kid from California, who I talked into coming to Wofford, I need to make him feel comfortable. And that relationship, that 5 minutes a day I spend with Cody Miller, is the most important 5 minutes in our relationship. And I'm going to hammer that down. I try to do it with our staff, I try to do it with our players. Keep it simple, create some juice, invest in them, expose them, get them going, get them out of their comfort zones, and try to get them interacting with each other. Because I can promise you, those relationships are more powerful than anything we can teach about drills, mechanics, or anything like that. I'm sorry we kept you here so long. I hope you guys got something out of this. I know we can talk and talk, but like I said, this is what we do. We try to develop, and I appreciate you guys hanging with us. Thanks so much.
All right, just a reminder, we got the social going on right here. When you're walking out, it's right there on the left. Pizza and beverages in there. So, let's go by there.